Well, an ancient discovery is shedding light on the early church. The Megiddo mosaic dates back nearly 2,000 years, and experts believe it decorated one of the earliest Christian worship sites in Israel.
The world was shaken by the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, but something even more shocking has just been found. Hidden underneath a maximum security prison in Megiddo lies an unbelievable find. A mosaic that not only confirms the divinity of Jesus Christ, but also rewrites what we know about history.
Which is where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. What was discovered here is the most monumental archaeological discovery of all time.
This groundbreaking discovery could finally put an end to debates about early Christianity. What exactly was found, and why is it so historical? If you're ready to find out the truth about the early church and its legacy, join us as we dive into the biggest archaeological breakthrough since the Dead Sea Scrolls, an ancient evidence of Christianity discovered. The details about archaeologists' recent discovery are shocking, and to understand it all, we need to start from the beginning. This discovery began in 2005 when a group of archaeologists encountered something shocking buried underneath Megiddo, an ancient city in Canaan. But this discovery wasn't made just anywhere in Megiddo. Rather, it was found beneath the Megiddo Maximum Security Prison.
More than a decade ago, an incredible relic of Christian archaeology was discovered in the most unlikely of places, beneath an Israeli prison. The prison happened to be located next to the ancient ruins of Megiddo,
A facility where some of the country's most dangerous criminals are confined. This terrifying detail is a shocking twist. No one expected it. But beneath the foundations of the reinforced prison lay a spiritual and historical treasure, which is now taking social media by storm. The world is buzzing as old knowledge is being shattered and new insights are forming. But before we get ahead of ourselves, what exactly have archaeologists found, and why is it so important? As it turns out, this recent discovery, which makes the Dead Sea Scrolls seem almost insignificant in comparison, is an 1,800-year-old mosaic dating back to the year 230. Let that sink in for a moment. The mosaic, measuring 581 feet in size, is said to be the earliest and leading evidence of Christ's divinity on earth. But how is this possible? To grasp how monumental this is, let's take a moment to think about the Council of Nicaea. This gathering of Christian bishops and leaders took place in Nicaea, in what is now Iznik, Turkey, in the year 325. Emperor Constantine, who had recently converted to Christianity, convened the council to resolve theological disputes and establish a unified doctrine for the Christian Church. While the Council of Nicaea is a cornerstone of Christian history, the recently discovered mosaic is much older. This fact alone makes it a groundbreaking discovery with many severe implications for the historical narrative of Christianity. Now, while the age of this mosaic is very shocking, that's not the only detail turning heads. There's something even more fascinating about this discovery. This brings us to what the mosaic represents. Prepare to be amazed. According to Gil Lin, the head of the Megiddo Regional Council, this mosaic is part of what is believed to be the earliest known house of Christian prayer. This ancient place of worship predates many of the formalized structures of Christianity as we know it today. But that's not all. The mosaic features strange inscriptions that hint at a version of Christianity few people talk about. These inscriptions are not just words. They are windows into an early and possibly forgotten era of faith, one that existed before much of Christianity became standardized. But how was this extraordinary discovery even made? It all began when archaeologists were allowed access to the Megiddo prison grounds for a routine survey. Little did they know they were about to stumble upon history itself. As the team dug deeper into the site, they noticed remnants of an ancient structure. At first, it appeared to be a simple floor design, but as they carefully uncovered more, it became clear that this was no ordinary floor. The mosaic, adorned with detailed patterns and inscriptions, revealed a story etched in time. One of the inscriptions, translated from ancient Greek, refers to Jesus as God's Christ.
Israeli officials are considering lending the Megiddo mosaic, an early Christian mosaic recognized for its early reference to Jesus as God,
This phrase alone is a direct and powerful statement of divinity, written centuries before Christianity's doctrines were formalized. But there's more. The mosaic's design suggests that it was not created for grandeur, but for worship. It wasn't a palace or a rich person's estate. It was a place of gathering for believers and ordinary people who came together to pray and share their faith. This discovery is rewriting what we know about early Christianity. It shows that faith communities existed long before the Council of Nicaea, practicing their beliefs in ways that historians are only beginning to understand. The idea that such an important piece of history was hidden beneath a maximum security prison is almost too incredible to believe, and yet, this is just the beginning of the discovery. So let's get right into the mystery of the Megiddo mosaic, unveiling the revelations of the new discovery. When archaeologists were given access to the grounds of the Megiddo maximum security prison for a routine survey, no one expected the historic revelation that was about to unfold. At first, archaeologists couldn't believe their eyes. The intricate designs, ancient inscriptions, and the sheer size of the mosaic were unlike anything they had encountered before. It quickly became clear that they had stumbled upon something monumental, something that could change our understanding of history. But why was this prison even built in Megiddo? The Megiddo prison, constructed in the early 20th century, was designed to house some of the most dangerous criminals in the region. Ironically, it was this very prison that hid one of history's greatest treasures right beneath its floors. But excavating and accessing this treasure was definitely not easy. The presence of the prison delayed the process for years. Archaeologists could only study fragments of the site, as the area was heavily guarded and off-limits. It wasn't until the prison was relocated in 2010 that they could dig deeper and reveal the full story of what lay below. The transfer of the prison marked a turning point.
Well, after years of red tape, the Israeli government has finally decided to move the prison.
Even some of the inmates, aware of the historical importance of the discovery, helped with the excavation before their transfer. It was a rare moment where even those confined by walls became part of history, knowing that what they were uncovering would leave the world in awe. Once the prison was moved, excavations continued and lasted until 2008, revealing layer after layer of fascinating details. The discoveries didn't just stop with the mosaic itself. Archaeologists found evidence of what is believed to be one of the earliest Christian prayer houses. The inscriptions on the mosaic, written in ancient Greek, included dedications to Jesus Christ, referring to him as God's Christ. The mosaic was more than just a beautiful floor design. It was a window into a time when Christianity was still in its infancy, practiced by small, tight-knit communities. The revelations gave historians a clearer picture of how early Christians worshipped and how their faith evolved over time. The process of finding the site was a challenge, but it was worth every moment of effort. Thankfully, the discoveries made beneath Megiddo have shaken the historical and religious communities, forcing us to rethink what we thought we knew. Today, the world continues to marvel at what lies beneath this ancient city, but nothing is more shocking than the discovered inscriptions on the Megiddo mosaic. What could they possibly be about, and what meaning do they hold? The mysterious inscription explained. One majorly fascinating feature of the Megiddo mosaic are the inscriptions found on it. Intriguingly, these inscriptions have left scientists and historians both amazed and confused. The mosaic features 3 distinct inscriptions, each written in ancient Greek. While the first inscription mentioned Gaianus, who is a Roman centurion who had sponsored the making of the mosaic, the other inscription mentions 4 other unknown women who may have been relevant to Christianity at the time. While the first and second inscriptions on the mosaic have shed light on the shared faith and beliefs of the early church, it is the third inscription that has turned the world of theology on its head. In this line, Jesus Christ is referred to as God. The line is written in an abbreviated form and reads, "The God-loving Akeptus has offered the table to God Jesus Christ as a memorial." Interestingly, this single line has done more than any other discovery in recent years to challenge long-standing debates about early Christianity. But what do we mean by this? For years, Unitarians and others who hold unorthodox beliefs argued that the divinity of Jesus was not part of early Christian doctrine. According to their theory, early Christians saw Jesus as a teacher or prophet.
The Bible as an historical text. These people still have an opinion about Jesus, and they'll come forward with it quickly. Oh, he was just a great teacher. He was just a great moral prophet, so to speak,
And the belief in his divinity was only adopted later, primarily for political reasons. They claimed this shift occurred during events like the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, when Emperor Constantine sought to unify the Roman Empire under one version of Christianity. The mosaic, however, tells a different story. Its inscriptions date back to 230 AD, nearly a century before the Council of Nicaea. The fact that Jesus is called God here shows that his divinity was already a central belief for Christians at the time. This discovery dismantles the Unitarian argument and provides clear evidence that early Christians worshipped Jesus not just as a prophet, but as God himself. It also seats well with the concept of the Messiah's second coming to judge the world. The implications of the third inscription are enormous. It means that the roots of Christianity's core beliefs stretch much further back than many historians previously thought. It also highlights how this small group of early Christians held on to their faith despite living in a time of persecution and opposition. But the mosaic does not just tell us about theology. It also sheds light on the world in which these early Christians lived. Based on the artifacts found around the site, archaeologists believe the prayer house was built in a Jewish village near a Roman legion camp and the Byzantine city of Megiddo. This paints a vivid picture of a diverse and interconnected community. It wasn't just Christians living in the area. The artifacts show that people of various religions and cultures shared this space and managed to coexist peacefully. It is a striking reminder that even in ancient times, people from different backgrounds could live side by side in harmony. The mosaic itself is part of what is believed to be the oldest Christian prayer house in the world. It was built in the early 4th century, long before the grand cathedrals and churches that would later define Christianity. This humble prayer hall was likely a central gathering place for early Christians, offering them a sense of hope and community in a time of uncertainty. This is why its discovery is described by Matthew Adams, the director of the excavation, as both thrilling and grueling. Today, the mosaic has been carefully preserved and is now on display at the Museum of the Bible. Dr. Bobby Duke, the director of the museum's Scholars Initiative, has called it the greatest archaeological discovery in Israel since the Dead Sea Scrolls. It will remain at the museum until July 2025, giving people from around the world a chance to witness this incredible piece of history up close. The discovery of the mosaic is more than just a historical breakthrough. It is a testament to the resilience and faith of early Christians, a window into a diverse and tolerant ancient community, and a challenge to long-held assumptions about the origins of Christianity. It reminds us that history is never fully written, and the greatest discoveries may still be hidden beneath our feet, waiting to be found. From traditions to royal titles, so much will be changed in unexpected ways. Curious to know how history, power, and duty will change in Prince George's reign? Then join us as we explore 20 insane things that will happen when Prince George becomes king, head of state. When Prince George becomes king, he will take on the role of head of state. While the UK has an elected government to make and pass laws, the king or queen still holds an important position. As head of state, Prince George wouldn't create laws or govern directly, but he would carry out duties that have been part of royal tradition for over 1,000 years. He would also be a symbol of unity and pride for the country. As king, Prince George would represent national identity, honor achievements, and encourage community service. He would lead both formally and as a beloved figure of stability and tradition. Keep watching to find out what comes next. Moving to Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace has been the home of British kings and queens since Queen Victoria's time in 1837. It is more than just a grand building. It is a symbol of the monarchy's history and tradition. When Prince George becomes king, he will move into this iconic palace when he becomes king. Living at Buckingham Palace would be a huge moment for him. It would show the world that his reign has officially begun. The palace is not just a home, It is the perfect place for a king to host important events like state banquets and receptions.
Buckingham Palace, a focal point for royal celebrations, jubilees with their very loud flypasts, and coronations.
It would also help Prince George easily handle his royal duties and connect with the people, carrying on centuries of tradition. Greater role involvement in the government. As king, Prince George would play a bigger role in the government, even though he wouldn't make laws or lead the country directly. In the UK's constitutional monarchy, the power to make and pass laws belongs to the elected parliament, but the king still has important responsibilities that connect him to the government. Prince George would be involved in key moments like opening and closing parliament sessions and giving approval before new laws are finalized. These roles might seem ceremonial, but they are crucial in keeping the country's traditions alive. Assent to new laws. One of the duties of a king is to give royal assent to new laws. This is the formal way a monarch approves a bill passed by Parliament. Without it, the bill cannot become law. As king, Prince George would take on this responsibility. While royal assent is mostly a tradition today and rarely denied, it still holds great importance. It shows the connection between the monarchy and the government. By granting assent, Prince George would continue a practice that has been part of Britain's history for centuries, ensuring every law is officially recognized. Stay tuned to find out what comes next. Political neutrality. As king, Prince George would face the important duty of staying politically neutral. In a constitutional monarchy, the royal family cannot take sides in political matters or show support for any party. This means Prince George would need to keep his opinions private, just as his great-grandmother Queen Elizabeth II did. People never knew her thoughts on politics, or even which prime minister she liked most. While King Charles III has shared his views on the environment, he too avoids siding with any party. Prince George would follow this tradition. Carrier of royal responsibilities. Becoming king would make Prince George the head of the royal household. This means he would be responsible for managing the family's many royal duties and the costs that come with them. Maintaining palaces, paying staff, and ensuring top-level security are expensive tasks that require careful planning. At the same time, the king enjoys incredible privileges. Prince George would live in some of the world's most beautiful homes, own amazing cars, and have access to priceless jewelry. But he would need to balance this luxury with the needs of the people, showing both responsibility and care for the nation. Head of Commonwealth of Nations. As king, Prince George would become the head of the Commonwealth, a group of 54 countries that work together on important issues like human rights, democracy, and economic growth. This role is mostly ceremonial but very important.
Challenging the Commonwealth to find answers to the financial crisis, food supply and global trade.
The Commonwealth began in 1948 and has always had the British monarch as its leader. Prince George would continue this tradition once he takes the throne. Being head of the Commonwealth would allow him to connect with leaders and people from all over the world. It would also give him the chance to strengthen ties and promote unity among the member countries. Changing of the Oath of Allegiance. The Oath of Allegiance will change when Prince George takes the throne. Currently, people in the UK swear loyalty to King Charles III, but once Prince George becomes king, everyone will pledge allegiance to him instead. This oath is an important tradition where citizens, from police officers to military members, promise to serve the monarch and their country. Along with this change, the British national anthem will be updated once again. Instead of "God Save the Queen," it will become "God Save the King." Prince George will be the new figurehead to whom the people of Britain swear their loyalty, marking the beginning of a new chapter in the nation's history. What comes next will shock you. Keep watching. Image replacement. As Prince George takes the throne, his image will start replacing those of King William and King Charles III on many national symbols. This process will take time, especially since Queen Elizabeth's image is so deeply tied to British life. The same goes for the billions of banknotes with the previous monarch's faces, which will take years to replace. Even coins and stamps will need to carry Prince George's portrait, marking a new era. These changes will slowly transform the nation's symbols, reflecting the beginning of his reign. King of Australia. As the new monarch, Prince George will also become the King of Australia. This is because, under Australia's constitution, the monarch of the UK automatically becomes the monarch of Australia as well.
King Charles III is also the King of Australia. He's the head of state here because Australia is a constitutional monarchy, which means that for now, a king or queen will always be its head of state.
While Australia is an independent country, it remains part of the Commonwealth, and the king has a ceremonial role there. Prince George will rule by proxy, just like King Charles before him, meaning he won't be directly involved in running the country. His main responsibility will be appointing the Governor-General, who represents him in Australia, as well as the governors of the country's regions. Through these appointments, Prince George will have a way to influence Australia, even from afar. Changing of name. Prince George may choose to change his name when he becomes king. It's a tradition that allows a new monarch to pick a name that suits their new role, though it's not required. Queen Elizabeth II decided to keep her birth name, but her father changed his from Albert to King George VI when he took the throne. Since both Queen Elizabeth and King Charles kept their names, it wouldn't be surprising if Prince George follows this tradition and keeps his own name. But he could also decide to pick a different name to reflect his reign and the new chapter in British history. Highest-ranking member of the monarchy. Prince George's position in the royal family will change forever. As the highest-ranking member of the monarchy, he will no longer need to bow or curtsy to anyone. Currently, Prince George's father, Prince William, bows to King Charles III, the reigning monarch. But once Prince George ascends to the throne, he will be the one everyone else bows to. His status will make him the most senior member of the royal family, and no one will be above him in rank. Prince George would no longer be the Prince of Wales. Once Prince George becomes king, his title as Prince of Wales will be passed on to his own son. This is because the title of Prince of Wales is traditionally given to the next in line to the throne. Currently, Prince William holds the title of Prince of Wales, a role he took on after Queen Elizabeth II's death when his father, King Charles III, became king.
UK's King Charles III has been crowned again, this time in Scotland.
But when Prince George takes the throne, he will no longer hold that title. Instead, it will be given to Prince George's son, continuing the royal tradition of passing down the title to the heir. Don't miss what comes next on this list. Not needing a passport. As king, Prince George will no longer need a passport. This is because British passports are issued in the monarch's name, making the monarch the source of all passports. Just like Queen Elizabeth II, who never had a passport because she was the source of them, Prince George will not need one either. Since he will be the one granting passports to others, he will be exempt from needing one for himself. It's a unique privilege that comes with being the king, reflecting his position as the figurehead of the nation, supporting charitable causes. Prince George will carry on his family's tradition of supporting charitable causes once he becomes king. Like his father, he will be expected to focus on important issues such as mental health, conservation, and wildlife protection. Over the years, Prince William has worked to raise awareness about mental health, especially PTSD and suicide prevention, and Prince George will likely continue these efforts. He will also take on new causes, using his position to make a positive impact on the world. Massive inheritance. Upon becoming monarch, Prince George will inherit the crown estate, along with other royal properties, but not in the usual way. These assets are held in trust for the nation, not as part of the monarch's personal estate. Like his predecessors, Prince George will receive income from the sovereign grant, which helps fund the royal family's activities. He will have access to the crown estate and royal properties, ensuring the continued upkeep of the monarchy and its responsibilities. Prince George's son, becoming the new Prince of Wales. As soon as Prince George takes the throne, he will make his son the new Prince of Wales. This title is given to the next heir in line, the future monarch. Although Prince George is only 9 years old now, he will eventually carry the responsibility of being the heir to the throne. This may seem like a lot for such a young boy, but tradition holds that the Prince of Wales title is given to the next monarch's eldest child. When Prince Charles became the Prince of Wales, he was 20 years old. even though he was the heir from the age of 3. He had time to learn about Wales, its people, and its language. Likewise, Prince George will grow into his role, learning the important responsibilities that come with it. Waking up with bagpipes. Once he becomes king, Prince George will be woken up by bagpipes, a royal tradition that has been in place for over a century. The British royal family is known for its many traditions, some well-known and others not really known. One of the most unique traditions is that the monarch starts the day to the sound of bagpipes, not an alarm clock. When Prince George takes the throne, he will uphold this practice, embracing the rituals that have long been part of royal life. Supreme Governor of the Church of England. Prince George will automatically become the Supreme Governor of the Church of England. This title, held by the reigning monarch, gives him responsibility for appointing archbishops, bishops, and deans of cathedrals, with advice from the Prime Minister. Along with this, he will also be named the Defender of the Faith. These roles are deeply rooted in British tradition and will make Prince George not only the head of state, but also the symbolic leader of the Church of England, title of Queen Consort. When Prince George becomes king, his wife will be given the title of Queen Consort. This is the traditional title for the wife of a reigning king. While the title holds great respect, it is different from the title of Queen Regent, which was held by Queen Elizabeth II. Unlike a Queen Regent, a Queen Consort does not rule. Similarly, the husband of a queen does not hold a title, just as Prince Philip was not called King Consort. She also had great skills, including her excellent musical ability as a skilled pianist.
It's a well-known story told in an unexpected way, set to music on a Broadway stage.
I choose a fresh new start.
Diana the musical is framed around the Princess of Wales' relationship with Prince Charles.
She was an excellent swimmer and diver, and she also studied ballet and tap dance. It was only academics that was not her forte. Between 1979 and 1981, Diana lived at Coleherne Court in Chelsea, London. In 1978, she started a mini-career in line with her passion for children, working as a nanny for Philippa and Jeremy Whittaker in Hampshire. She attended a finishing school in Rougemont, Switzerland for one term, but left after Easter 1978. Back in London, she shared her mother's flat with 2 friends from school. In London, Diana took an advanced cooking course and worked various low-paying jobs. She was a dance instructor for youth until a skiing accident caused her to miss 3 months of work. Then, she worked as a playgroup preschool assistant, did cleaning for her sister Sarah, and acted as a hostess at parties. She also babysat for the Robertsons, an American family in London, and worked as a nursery teacher's assistant at the Young England School in Pimlico. In July 1979, her mother bought her a flat at Coleherne Court as an 18th birthday present. She lived there with 3 flatmates until February 25, 1981. It's amazing how she got involved with Prince Charles after such an eventful life. Royal marriage, sons' births, and lingering controversies. Diana and Prince Charles met in 1977 in unusual circumstances.
The love story between Prince Charles and Lady Diana is particularly steeped in royal history, around which many rumors have surfaced up to this day.
As Charles was dating her sister Sarah, none of them could have imagined their future together. Charles thought she was jolly, and after his relationship with Sarah ended in 1978, they stayed friends. Diana attended Charles's 30th birthday party in Buckingham Palace in November 1978, and in January 1979, she met Charles again at a weekend shooting party at Sandringham as a guest of Queen Elizabeth II. Later in the summer of 1980, Diana and Prince Charles met again at a house party hosted by her friend Philip de Pass in New Grove. After observing her shy nature and wise way of speaking, Charles considered her a potential girlfriend, despite their 13-year age gap. While sitting on a bale of hay at a post-polo barbecue, Diana sympathized with Charles over the loss of his great-uncle, Lord Mountbatten. Her comforting words struck a nerve, and he decided to pursue a relationship with her.
It's always easy to be smart in hindsight, but when you look at this couple's soap opera of body language throughout their marriage and before their marriage.
Did her words make him fall in love? Don't miss the next scene where things get even more interesting.